Congratulations on taking action to increase your career confidence. Your checklist is on its way. An email should be arriving in your inbox in a few minutes, asking you to confirm that you want the checklist. In the meanwhile, I'll walk you through it. I'm Gwen Chappell, career specialist and executive coach. I've worked with many clients whose lack of confidence stopped them from getting what they want. Sometimes these clients weren't sure of their career goals, so they'd end up wasting time in a career that wasn't right for them. Or they were unsure of their abilities, so they would hesitate to speak up or take the spotlight. Often their contribution would be minimized, or they'd be overlooked for promotions. Often these were high achievers who wanted to do as good a job as they could, but that very desire to excel caused problems, sometimes like failing to get started. I know what that's like. I struggled to find a career path that was right for me, mostly because I underestimated my abilities. At one time, I struggled so much with a lack of confidence that I almost didn't finish my master's in English. I got writer's block. Writer's block is a gigantic case of a lack of confidence. Eventually, I found my way past this block. And finally, after 6 years, I finished the master's in English. A lack of confidence very nearly cost me that degree, and it certainly took a toll on my health, causing many sleepless nights and many migraine headaches. Not to mention the extra tuition I had to pay to stay enrolled to get that degree. I don't want that to happen to anyone else, so I decided to study psychology, and I got another master's degree, this time in educational psychology. Then I became a counselor and a coach, and now I'm designing a program, maybe even a set of programs, that will help people get past the challenges like my writer's block and a lack of a clear career path. That was a tough one to say, so that they could live up to their full potential and create the life and the career that they want. So, before we begin, let's take a second to rate yourself on your confidence. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is the highest level of confidence and 1 is the opposite, where would you rank your confidence? Go ahead and write that number down. Now, let me ask you, when you wrote that number down, what aspect of confidence were you thinking about? Was it your confidence in your ability to succeed in your current job? To speak up and present your ideas in meetings? To finish a task like write a paper? Or was it something more general, like your overall belief in your abilities? Now, this is one of the challenges when we're talking about confidence. When we talk about confidence, what do we really mean? I'll be talking more about the confidence in my upcoming webinar. I'll be talking about how much confidence you really need and how do you develop it. But for now, just notice what popped into your mind when I asked you to rank your current level of confidence. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the checklist, through the steps you need to develop your ultimate career confidence. By the time you finish watching this video, you'll be able to name 2 key aspects of confidence, and you'll be able to define authentic self and realistic confidence and congruent confidence, and then understand how these relate to your ultimate career confidence. Now, I want you to understand that your ultimate career confidence is a process. It's not something that you're going to develop overnight. Tomas Chamorro-Presmusic has spent years researching confidence, self-esteem, insecurity, self-doubt. He has some really interesting things to say about confidence, most of which we don't have time to talk about here. But the big takeaway for now is that confidence is a combination of competence and certainty or conviction. So it's our own competence, and then our belief in our competence, that we know what we're doing. And the easiest way to develop competence is to know your strengths and develop them, which means knowing yourself. your personality, your strengths, your learning style, communication style, and so on. What I call your authentic self. The authentic self is based on who you are, what you want, and what your strengths are. And this understanding, or your understanding of your authentic self, develops and grows over time, so that as you grow and in years, you will grow in more self-knowledge and grow more and more into your full self over time. And just as you become more certain about who you are and what you want over time, you also learn what you're good at, where you sometimes come up short. And you want to be realistic about your level of skills, which Chamorro Presmusic calls realistic confidence. Realistic confidence is based on your certainty of your competence. In other words, you are certain that you have a realistic evaluation of your level of competence. Now, when you combine realistic confidence based on areas that are congruent with your interests, your personality, and your strengths, you get congruent confidence. So, congruent confidence is that combination of the authentic you and realistic confidence. Now, I believe, personally, that the definition of genuine success is creating a wealth of enjoyable experiences, satisfying accomplishments, and loving relationships, as well as earning an income that meets your needs. And so, for me, congruent confidence is the true path to success. Knowing your authentic self, discovering who you are and what you want, allows you to define success in a way that's meaningful to you. It's an ongoing process of growing and changing, becoming more yourself, finding meaningful work that creates an abundance of these satisfying experiences. Meaningful work that allows the opportunity to grow into yourself and your talents and abilities. And that meaningful work, by the way, doesn't mean that you have to be employed. It means meaningful work, and it could be outside of your employment, or it could be within a corporation, or it could be independent business, or it could be creating a home and a homemaker, being a homemaker. It's meaningful work, regardless of the financial value that's attached to it. And that's what I truly believe that is genuine success. So developing congruent confidence, this combination of the authentic you and your realistic evaluation of your competence, allows you to become the leader in your own life. It allows you to become the leader you want to be, whether that's just leading yourself into your version of your personal success, or professional success, taking the spotlight, leading others, becoming foremost in your area. Congruent confidence is about generating your success your way. Now, finally, your ultimate confidence results from developing your congruent confidence over time. As you experiment and gain experience, you develop more skills, more competence, and more self-knowledge, and more certainty about yourself and your skills and your abilities. And now that brings us to your ultimate career confidence checklist. So here's the process. The first step towards creating your ultimate career confidence is to start discovering the authentic you. And to do that, you have to step into your own power. You are the CEO of your life and your career and your meaningful work, whatever you decide you want for yourself. You're in charge of your life. This can be sometimes a bit tricky to remember when you've got multiple roles and responsibilities, especially if one of those roles is to small children who need you and need you now. So learning how to cultivate and maintain your own sense of self and responsibility to yourself while at the same time managing your multiple responsibilities and roles is one of the challenges that I think that a lot of people, especially women, need to learn. I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts and experiences about this, either in the survey or in the Facebook page that I'm going to tell you about in a minute. Now, so you really need, step one is to step into your own power. Now, step two is to envision your ideal future. You need to know where you're going. What's that old saying? If you don't know where you're going, you'll end up somewhere else. You need to set aside your current reality for a moment or a few moments and allow yourself to dream big. If you had all the confidence you needed, what would your life be like? What would you be doing? What would you be feeling? What would you have in your life that you don't have now? Why would you want this? How much bigger would your impact be? So that's step two. Now, once you know what you want, you've got to figure out how to make it a reality. That brings us to step three, design your plan. What is your plan to get where you want to go? Sometimes you just need to focus on the next step, and sometimes the next step is just getting clearer and looking at the options, the possibilities. Is your big dream realistic? Who has done what you have done? How have they done it? So you might want to pick just a smaller goal, something that will give you a chance to practice setting and attaining goals. And that's a good way to increase your confidence in your ability to carry out a plan. Once you've decided what your first goal will be, you'll need to design a plan to get you there. Strategize some possible ways to get from where you are to where you want to go. And then you'll need to find a way to measure your progress. So you want to take some baseline measurements, set some intermediate goals so you know when you're on track and making progress, and then make these small goals small enough so that you can accomplish them easily, so that you have this sense of accomplishment, and that increases your momentum and makes you more positive about your progress. That brings us to step four, implementing your plan. You'll need to find ways or find times to do this. Once you've got the tasks in mind, you'll need to schedule them into your calendar. You'll have to gather the resources you'll need. You'll have to find ways to keep yourself on track and keep yourself going. And you'll want to find ways to celebrate your progress. All these things are very important, and they are the small little things that really keep us from doing and creating the success that we want. Now, along the way, you're going to have to learn to mind your motivation, mind your mindset. Often people lose motivation after their initial enthusiasm. You'll need to find ways to remind yourself why you wanted this goal. For example, if your goal is to increase your confidence, you'll have to remind yourself why you wanted to do this. Re-immerse yourself in your big vision. Think of your ideal, confident self. What would you do, be, have, feel if you were as confident as you would like? You'll also need tools and strategies to deal with the self-doubts and worries that sometimes arise, especially if you're one of those folks who judge themselves harshly. High achievers often fall into this category, and sometimes the self-criticism can really increase sometimes it can increase your performance, but sometimes it causes problems. And this is where having a coach, accountability partner, a group, a community, some way to help you celebrate, to be there when those really, yes, I got it moments. I've created a Facebook page called, I think it's just under Gwen Chappell Career Confidence, where I would love to hear your comments and love to hear your thoughts about creating your own career confidence. And it is a way for us to connect and to share our successes and our concerns and problems and issues. And it's a way of creating community, which is one of the things that really helps us to mind our motivation. So now, once you have step 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 in place, then we move on to discovering your strengths. Now, confidence is really the combination of competence and conviction, knowing that you can complete a task on demand under any circumstances. So it's much easier to develop competence in areas where you have these natural strengths, and you'll probably enjoy using those strengths much more than you would in areas where you struggle or don't have as much natural talent. You can use some formal assessments or inventories to get started about your thinking about what your natural strengths are, but that might only give you a partial picture of your abilities. You might need to get input from others in order to really understand your strengths. Sometimes a strength is so much a part of ourselves that we just take it for granted and assume everybody can do this. And then we don't even realize it's a strength until somebody says, perhaps expresses surprise or mentions or points out to you that you have this ability that you've just been taking for success, that you've just been taking for granted. All right. Step 7, once you know those strengths, you want to develop those strengths, your areas, those abilities. And this is where it gets to be, you want to apply a little bit of strategy. You want to be able to measure these strengths so that you know what level of competence you're at. You'll know what their value. So you'll need some strategies to evaluate those strengths, and you'll need some strategies to be able to demonstrate those strengths to others so that others also recognize what you can do. That brings us to step 8, perfect your performance. We're going to use it as a verb here. Although I could also say something about the dangers of perfectionism. So we want to also avoid perfectionism, but at the same time striving for excellence. So once you know you can accomplish a specific task, you need to know that you can perform it under pressure. And that is when you need to learn to manage those nerves and those anxieties. So, for example, if you get a little nervous before a presentation or before an important meeting, great. This is actually just your body's natural reaction to a perceived threat, and it doesn't really recognize the difference between a physical threat and an emotional threat. So it's preparing itself to fight, freeze, or flee. So you can reframe this natural reaction as performance energy. So you'll need to develop some skills here. You'll need to recognize those butterflies and that uncomfortable feeling as normal, and that it's actually not a bad thing because it gives you a little bit of extra energy for your performance. And then you'll need to also find ways to either boost that little extra energy or to bring down that level of anxiety so that you can stay in this optimal performance zone. So let's see. For example, if you find yourself with a little bit too much of this energy, you can try taking several deep, calming breaths to lower your heart rate and bring your energy into the optimal performance zone. And it will take some conscious experimenting to find just where that optimal zone is. So it will take a little bit of training and coaching and teaching yourself to learn these new skills. So now the last piece, project confidence. Now we know that even the highest achieving people experience a lack of confidence from time to time. And that actually, from low confidence can actually inspire you to work harder to compensate for for a lack of confidence. So it can actually be a good thing. But then there's also times when you have the skills, but your nervousness might get in the way, just as we're talking about in step 8. And this is when one of the skills that you need to learn is to be able to create a facade or a projection of confidence, and managing those nerves. And it's true. It's a little bit of acting experience there, and acting skills, which you can learn to do. Now, so don't let a lack of confidence undermine your confidence. Just let it prepare. So it's a little bit of a paradox there. A lack of confidence can actually improve your competence, and that really is one of the best motivators to get yourself up to speed and practicing, and know that you are really and truly ready. And then on the day of the performance, remember the big why. Why do you want to do this? And remember that you're committed to that. You're acting in a way that's congruent with your highest values, a way that's congruent with your authentic self. And you may not be as polished as you would like at this time, but that's the first step to becoming more polished. So that's the process for developing your ultimate competence based on your congruent confidence. I believe it's a spiral process where you cycle through the stages. You get to know the authentic you learn who you are, what you want to do, what your strengths are. You develop a way of creating realistic confidence, where you learn to realistic evaluate your skills and abilities and where you are, and you get feedback from others so that you know that your own assessment is accurate, or at least you get to know what others' assessment of your ability is, so that you may have a branding issue or a projection issue that you might need to look at. And then eventually you develop your certainty about who you are and where you are competent and where you aren't. And I think that might be just as valuable, because then you can claim your space. This is what I'm good at. This is beyond my scope, and I'm not prepared to do that. It's not congruent with who I really am. Now, certainty involves more than just certainty about your level of competence. There's also an emotional aspect and a social aspect. So you have to manage your own emotions so that you can tame those feelings of self-doubt, and learn how to optimize your energy, and learn how to be as productive as you could be. And you'll also need to manage those social aspects, those other people's perception of you and your abilities, your social influence, your persuasion, even power in politics, depending on what you want to do and what you want to accomplish. You may want to assume some of those leadership roles that really require a higher level of awareness of social influence and persuasion and power in politics. But that's all depends on you and the authentic you and where you want to end up going. So, as I said earlier, I really want to help you develop your confidence. My intention is to develop a program that addresses the challenges that undermine confidence and stop people from growing into their strengths and creating the success that they want and becoming the kind of leader they want to be. But I really do need your help. I need your advice. I need to know if I'm on the right track. So if you haven't had a chance to complete the survey on your number one challenge when it comes to career confidence, I would love it if you could do that. It shouldn't take too long to complete, and it will help me design a program that really will be effective in increasing career confidence. And of course, you don't have to complete the survey to get your checklist. As I said, it should be on its way to your inbox, and if it hasn't shown up, let me know. So you can email me at gwenchappell@gwenchappell.com. There's the email on the screen now. And and also, if you would like to leave a comment, about this video, or about any questions that you have, or thoughts that you had, or things that you'd like to share with a community that is dedicated to creating confidence and helping others like yourself generate more confidence, you can go to my Facebook page. It's Gwen Chappell Career Confidence. And let me know. Leave a message there. Leave a comment. Let me know how I'm doing. My intention is to serve you as best I can, and I need your help to do that. And I thank you very much for that. So I'm Gwen Chappell. I sincerely hope this checklist and the video will help you create success your way, the success that you define, the success that's on your terms, the success that you desire and that you deserve. All the best.